So, living in Portland, we consider ourselves to be living in a greener city. Not every city is as lucky. So take a look at Los Angeles on the left here and New York City on the right. There's a large layer of smog over them, as you can see. This smog is a result of carbon dioxide emissions. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, the average vehicle releases around 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide annually. Now, when carbon dioxide is released, it's actually taking oxygen out of the air. So that means that 4.6 metric tons of oxygen is also being extracted from the air due to vehicles. So my purpose today is to explain to you guys the harmful effects that car pollutants have on human health as well as the environment. And we can reduce these risks by decreasing how much we use cars and relying more on public transportation to get around, which is easy to do in the Portland metro area. Now, I've lived in Portland for a year and a half and experienced using TriMet, and once you get to use the system, it's a breeze. So I'm going to be going over the harmful effects of human health as well as the environment, and ultimately showing you guys how effective it is to use public transportation in the city. So let's examine the health risks. In a 2016 study done by the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, it was found that greenhouse gas emissions from transportation accounted for about 28.5% of total US emissions. This makes it the largest greenhouse gas contributor. And a lot of these car pollutants are actually particulate pollutants, and they come from exhaust pipes. And so this means that the more that you're idling your car, whether it's in the street or just in traffic, you're releasing more pollutants into the air. An article from the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences in 2016 gives an overview of the respiratory risks induced by car pollutants. The major ones include asthma and lung disease, but there are also links to increased risks of other cancers, and not just lung cancer, but also cancer of the reproductive organs, which is kind of interesting to me. As well, people who already suffer from asthma and other respiratory disorders have an increased risk of these symptoms worsening and also having long-term health defects. Another health risk is premature death. For example, in Britain, over 10,000 deaths are contributed to car pollution annually. That's 10,000 deaths from just sitting around next to cars. These people might not even be driving the cars. However, Britain is a more polluted city than Portland, and we can stop this problem from ever happening in Portland just by relying on cars more. In addition to health risks, car pollutants also pose a problem for the environment. The greenhouse gas emissions released from vehicles are a major contributor to global warming. CO2 emissions and other car pollutants not only affect the air quality, but also the soil and water quality. Author Jenny Green explains these effects in her March 2018 article. For example, oil spills taint the soil and ocean, which leads to dead crops and wildlife. Excessive fuel burning heats the atmosphere and leads to an overall warming of the earth. And lastly, particulate matter depletes the ozone, which exposes us to the sun's radiation. These effects are all direct results of cars. Nitrogen dioxide is the most harmful one. The Environmental Protection Agency states that nitrogen dioxide reacts with water, oxygen, and other chemicals in the atmosphere to form acid rain. Acid rain harms sensitive ecosystems such as lakes and forests. In addition, nitrogen dioxide in atmosphere contributes to nutrient pollution in coastal waters. So, with the risks of respiratory disorders, premature death, and the life of our planet hanging in the balance, it would be surprising that people wouldn't want to do something about this issue. Fortunately, there is a solution: taking public transportation more. So allow me to explain some of the benefits of taking public transportation more. The first one being, you're reducing your carbon footprint overall. By doing this, you're reducing all of the risks that we just talked about. Number two, you're saving money. So let's go over some of the costs. So a PSU on-campus parking pass costs $1,170 for the academic year. That equals out to about $130 per month. On the other hand, a TriMet student flex pass costs about $180 a term, which equals out to about $60 a month. Obviously, that's half the price. For short-term parking, like those downtown shopping trips, The average cost downtown parking, according to Parkopedia, is $4 an hour. And according to Oregon Live, the average cost of gas in Portland as of this year was $3.20 a gallon. Keep in mind that this is the highest gas has ever been since 2014. And as well as costs, there's also time. Now, this may seem counterintuitive, but taking public transportation could actually save you time on your commute. Because think about it, during rush hour, if you're taking the MAX to the suburbs, you're bypassing all of the freeway traffic, therefore saving you time and reducing your risk of getting into a car crash. It also saves you time looking for parking. I've personally spent 20 to 30 minutes just looking for parking in a downtown or at a crowded tourist area. You can save time on this by taking public transportation instead of parking a quarter mile away and having to walk that far to your destination anyways. Now, I know that sometimes taking public transportation can be difficult in certain situations, which is why I'm not asking everyone to completely ditch their car. I just want everyone to consider taking public transportation more than they use their car, just one step at a time. So, to imagine how accessible transportation is in Portland, I have this map provided by TriMet, and this shows all of the bus, streetcar, and MAX lines throughout the city. As you can see, they go throughout the whole city, and according to this MAX schedule, they go to multiple different suburbs. So it shouldn't be that much of a problem, even if you don't live in downtown Portland, to get around using public transportation. So car pollution is definitely a prevalent issue in our progressing society, and we need to do something about it. First of all, we need to stop relying so much on gasoline and that kind of fuel to power our vehicles, which we are making steps toward. But another solution that I propose, as I've been mentioning this whole time, is to just use public transportation more. However, there are also other solutions that can do similar things, such as buying an electric or hybrid car, walking or biking on your commute more, and also passing along this knowledge to your family and friends. Because if you do this, then it might inspire more people to stop relying on cars as much, and this will lead to, an overall better carbon footprint in Portland. So I think that this is really important to consider for all of us, especially since Portland is known as such a green city. We don't want it to end up like the smog we saw. We want to preserve those beautiful views of Mount St. Helens and Mount Hood. And if the people of Portland really care about the environment as much as the show Portlandia portrays it, and they care about their self-care as much as Pinterest portrays it, it should be a no-brainer that people in Portland would use public transportation more. Thank you.